All right, back on campus here with Coach Probst. And Coach, last week you guys played Faultville. I believe you turned them over 7 times. You got a 26-0 victory, but you guys, I know you weren't always pleased with the victory, but it was a victory nonetheless and a region win. But just take us back to last Friday night and how it all transpired.
Well, I think obviously we're not playing up to where we need to be playing. I mean, that's not a hard question or answer. I think that, but when it boils down to it, you know, we've had a pretty good gauntlet of teams to play that are, and I think we said at the staff meeting a couple nights ago that I think our region is better than it has been. I think you got to give Southeast a little bit of credit, Faultville a good bit of credit, and then of course Susan Moore's coming in. We're playing them in a row, and they're probably the best 3 teams in our region. Who knows? You know, you take them one game at a time, but so. Winning 26-0, obviously, I'd rather play bad and win than play good and lose. Obviously, we saw that a couple of weeks ago, so although we didn't play great. But I think, you know, I think Faultville I think their kids fought hard. I think they played hard. You know, they struggled to move the football on us. I thought defensively we played pretty good at times. Offensively, you know, right now we're struggling a little bit.
Coach, you had some guys circled on the board that you said, no matter how we look, it ain't going to look well oiled. We got to get these guys in and get them game reps to build depth. How is that? I ain't going to call it a project coming along, but that mindset coming along with getting those guys in and getting them game reps.
Well, I was talking to Matthew Mills this past Monday and a couple of days ago, and we were talking about, you know, transition's never easy. Never easy. I don't care. There's going to be hiccups in transition. I've done it a lot. So I think our football team in general, and I compare it to Texas in a lot of ways, knowing some of those guys out there, A.J. Milwee and some of those guys out there, they're trying to find their offense, and they're trying to do things that they're not real good at right now. Well, that's sort of us. You know, we can line up in a base offense and run what they've run here for 3 years. And I think we mow people down. But at the end, here's the issue. You've got to project where you land come playoff time of the teams you got to beat. And so we still have some really quality opponents left on our schedule. And then when you roll into the playoffs, whether it be the quarterfinals, semifinals, it could be second round, I don't know. I haven't looked at that closely yet. But I know there's teams in that 2A football, especially in South Alabama, that if you think you can be one-dimensional, you got another thing coming. And, you know, I watched this 2 years ago in a state championship game where I felt like we should have won the ball game, and second half we just fell apart because we kept trying to do the same thing we did the first half, and people adjust. They just adjust. You have to be left-handed as much as right-handed, and that's sort of the old Bear Bryant's lingo, but I mean, you gotta, and I think and I'm comparing it to Texas this weekend and listening to Sarkisian talk and OC talk and us, you know, they're working on some things they're just not very good at against these teams. We need to work on some things too. We got to make Mac Long a better quarterback. He's got to be a better quarterback in throwing the football and being able to spread it out and do some things, because we may need that. What happens when you're in the quarterfinals and it's 4th and 6, 4th and goal from the 6? You gonna line up and run the ball? You're not. You better be able to throw the football. So you got to be able to be diversified. You got to be able to be balanced. You got to be able to be very good at other things. And like I said, we're trying to get our left hand caught up with our right hand. We know what our right hand can do. We know that. We can sit there and run ISO counter, toss, you know, a couple of down the field shots type deal, you know, and we're trying to build a more sophisticated pass offense as far as, but they didn't even have check downs involved in their system, and they didn't know what a check down was, to be honest with you. And, when you look at that, you got to give your quarterback an out, and especially a young quarterback. So I was watching the game Monday night, the late game, the 9 o'clock. I got home second half about 11 o'clock, 10:30, and watched Jerson Herbe. I bet he had 8 check downs in the second half. He had one ball downfield. And I think that's what Mac has to understand. When the concepts break down, you have a check down system, now you do, involved in the offense that can help you get out of trouble. He still hadn't grasped it yet. He will. We'll spend some time tonight off campus, just me and him sitting down and going through the schematics of things and continue to understand read progression and the check down system. So that's sort of where we are right now. We're sort of in that transitional mode offensively, where defensively we're not. Teddy and Coach Albright and Ronnie and that bunch, Coach Catlin and all that bunch, and Brody, they got our defense playing pretty good. Offensively, we're experimenting. We're in an experimental role right now, and everybody's got to understand it. And I think that's what Matthew and I were talking about Monday. Change is different. Transition is different. And sometimes, you deal with those kinds of things.
Max, in his infancy stages as a quarterback himself, because he's never started on the varsity level until now, so he's learning as you're learning and teaching. So
that's right.
It's 2 different transitions going on right there. 2 different
transitions. You got a young quarterback we're throwing a lot on.
Yeah.
But I think in the backflip half, we still got 11 games possible. Think about his maturity level and his maturation process as we go forward as a quarterback, and I know he was sort of disgusted with himself a little bit yesterday, but none of it was his fault. We just have to do a better job, I do, of giving him better opportunities and better selections, and him understanding even more so, where this thing is going to go down. Yeah. So, and it's a lot. It's not no just run-of-the-mill deal, So, but at the end of it, he'll be a better quarterback for it, and we'll be a better team for it too.
You can't just add water and stir for instant.
No, you can't.
Instant offense.
No, you can't.
Coach, moving forward, looking at Susan Moore, like you said, they're a sneaky good team. Last couple of years they've had some guys and they've made some noise. I know a lot of people in this area are familiar with Susan Moore, but for those who don't know a lot about them, what have you seen from them on film?
They're scrappy. I know their coach, know his dad real well. When I was coaching Nashville back in the late 80s, early 90s, Pod was at Susan Moore, and he whipped our fanny one night at Asheville, and they were very physical. So I know it's been 30-something years ago, but at the end of the story, I think his son's doing a great job there. Their quarterback is a good football player.
Yeah.
He's throwing for a lot of yards. They're scoring a lot of points.
That's right.
Scoring a lot of points. And so we got to be efficient offensively and score when we get opportunities. And in defense, we can't give up the deep ball. We got to make them snap it a bunch and put pressure on him, put pressure on the quarterback, and don't let him get comfortable. We cannot let the quarterback get comfortable Friday night.
Yeah, Teddy and him do a pretty good job getting after them.
They do.
They do a really good job of creating turnovers. Can you talk about that a little bit? I know that's coached and talked about in practice.
Teddy harps on it all the time. And I've had a lot of good defense coordinators in my career. A lot of them have gone on to coach college football. And so I think about the guys I've had. Teddy's got a unique way of doing things, but I like the way he does it. He's dead serious about his job. He pushes kids hard, no doubt about it, but he understands and knows football. There's no question he understands and knows football, and he does a great job, like you said, stressing turnovers constantly, to the point. If he opens his mouth one more time, he'll say turnover. It's just create turnovers. But you know what? That radiates with kids, and it radiates with our team, and they understand what they've got to do, and I think it helps us. When you're giving the ball back to the offense more than, the other night we gave it back a lot too. We had 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions. I know we turned it over 4 times.
What was your blood pressure like during those turnovers?
You know, the first one, the first pick Mac threw was as much our fault. You know, he was confused on where he needed to go with the ball, and then he just didn't see the corner. He just didn't see the corner to the field. So, you know, we probably messed him up on that one. And the second turnover was more on him. We threw Sale into the boundary, which was right before half, and he just tried to throw a ball in a place that he shouldn't have thrown it. You know, there's opposite colored jerseys, you just can't put it there. So that's that. And then, you know, we had some fumbles. Kylan fumbled, got it back. Grayson fumbled, they got it. Seemed like we had another fumble that we lost, but we can't turn it over. We just cannot turn it over. Yeah. And you can't take a chance. Now, like today, yesterday and today will be a day of hitting checkdowns where he don't have to force the ball. There'll be things open. If things are not open downfield, there'll be things he can get the ball to his backs, and we'll be in good shape.
Offensive line and safety valves are the bloodline of a quarterback.
Yeah. I've seen it. I learned it from Mike Holmgren, which obviously won a Super Bowl at Green Bay when he had Brett Favre. I was on a plane ride to Seattle with him from Atlanta, and then rode back with him and was out there for a couple of days. And I learned a lot about quarterback efficiency from him, and with Matt Hasselbeck when he went and he took Seattle to the Super Bowl with a quarterback that the owners wanted to cut because his completion rate and turnover rate was completion rate was not high enough, and his turnover rate was too high. But he convinced the owners to let him work with him, and they went all the way to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So, and a lot of it was him just understanding what to do with the football when things downfield are not open.
That's right. Boy, I'm telling you that it's fun to watch Mac when he is rolling, and watching him grow as a quarterback, and the time y'all spend away. I talked to Jordana the other day, and she's talking about time you and him spend, you know, watching film together, and how much he loved it. And she said he's a different human down here, that he's soaking everything up, and he actually looks forward to doing that instead of it being a task. But when you got a coachable guy like that to listen, how awesome is that when you start seeing them grow?
Super. I mean, he's like a sponge. He wants to learn. You know, we call it QB Lab. And we'll be in there tonight, you know, so when we get through here. So when he gets through eating, gets home, gets a little rest, we'll meet at River Rock, and we'll sit down and talk through things and look at some things and this, that, and the other. So the maturity of a quarterback takes time.
That's good. Coach, I appreciate you sitting in with us. Before I shut it down, I always like to kick it back to you for just final thoughts on it. Could be anything you'd like to talk about.
Well, I just think going forward, you know, Friday night's the halfway point of a regular season. I usually don't call it that. A lot of people say we're halfway done, and I don't say we're halfway done till game 8. You know, second half of game 8. When we get, you know, it's halftime of game 7. You know, or whatever. When we get to game 8 is what I call the second half of the season, and that's usually how I do it. So try not to break it down like that. So, you know, we got a chance, if we stay healthy, to have a good football team that'll gel. But the number one thing I see right now is we just got to continue to execute better, not turn the ball over, execute, and still get in better shape than we're in. I'm not sure that our football team is in the shape we need to be in to be a really good team both ways. So we put them through the ringer on Monday, backed off a little bit yesterday, but, you know, we'll be ready to come by Friday night. Hopefully we're in a little bit better shape. I know this week's the first Friday night without the heat
advisories,
heat timeouts. Yes, we will not have heat timeouts after 9 unless they extend it. I haven't seen. I need to check on that, but I don't think we'll have a heat timeouts this Friday night, which means you lose 4 timeouts. 4 timeouts. So
something to think about.
It is, especially with us.
Like guys going both ways.
And so that's a factor for us, even more so than if you're at other schools that don't have as many people going both ways. Yes, so it can be a factor, and it's going to be warm Friday night.
Coach, you may have to take them to Junction, Texas next year. Now they'll put you in jail for that nowadays.
Oh, and then nowadays, you show that Jimmy Johnson thing.
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
That's pretty good, man. So, but that's when he took over the Cowboys.
That's it.
And the proof's in the pudding. He won 2 Super Bowls.
Ain't no doubt about it. And Coach, I appreciate you sitting in with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.